In this video, I'm going to show you how to transform a slope-intercept equation into standard form, and then I will also show you how to transform some point-slope form equations into, again, standard form. I just want to review with you the two things that you need to know about standard form, and it's number one, no fractions are allowed in your function for standard form, and also the coefficient in front of the letter x has to be positive. The b coefficient here in front of y and the constant c do not have to be positive, but a needs to be positive. And so we're going to make sure that when we finish our standard form that those two conditions have been met. So I'm just going to rewrite kind of those two conditions down here at the bottom so that they're here for me to remember. So number one, no fractions. And number two, a has to be a positive. So what I really need to do is get my x and my y on the same side of the equation. And this first example is really only one step to get it into standard form, and that's to add my 2x to the left side of the equation so that my x and y are together. Now in standard form, we want our x first, then our y. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to have 2x first, then plus the y that was already there equal to 7. I see that I have no fractions, so I've met that first condition, and I also can see here that my 2 in front of my x is positive, and so I have completed my standard form. For question number 8 here, I need to have my x on the left side with my letter y term, because notice how x and then y are on the same side of the standard form equation here on your paper. So we're going to add 5x to the left side. Now again, the order needs to be your x term first, so 5x, then followed by your y term, and then equal to your constant that will be on the other side of your equal sign. Notice how my x and y are together, so that I do have the format here that we want, ax plus by. I have no fractions in my function, 5x minus y equals 12, so that condition has been met. And also that number in front of my x term is positive, and so this is my completed standard form. For number 9, I'm going to also move my x term to the left side to be right next to my y term, and then I'll have 4x plus 2y that was already there equal to now negative 19. I have no fractions in my function. My a is positive, that number 4 is a positive, and so standard form is complete. In this next example here, number 10, I'm going to subtract my 3x to the other side. So now in front of my y term, I have a negative 3x followed by a positive y equal to 5. And now I notice that my x term is not positive, which is what I need. So if I need this term to be opposite sign, what I can do is multiply everything by negative 1 so that my signs that I need for a will now become positive. The other signs will switch signs, so if you had a positive, it will become negative, and so we're going to track that here. So negative 1 times negative 3 makes positive 3x. This is why we're multiplying by negative 1, because we have to have a positive a. But now I'm going to have a negative y and a negative 5. So essentially, just flipping all of our signs had this condition met that we needed to have for a being positive. Now I have a couple more examples here. I'm going to subtract 5x to the other side. Notice how this is going to be similar to that last problem where we have a negative x term, negative 5x here, then plus y that was already there, equal to the 2 on the other side of our equal sign. Now again, I have to have my x term be positive. So if we multiply every term by negative 1, my signs are going to switch. So positive 5x, negative y, and negative 2, now my function has that condition where a is positive. That condition has been met. Now this number here, number 12, is in point slope form, and this one's going to require a couple extra steps because I have this set of parentheses, so I'm going to need to distribute my slope of 5. So I'm going to multiply my 5 to my x and my 2 inside that parentheses. So here I'll have y minus 4 equals 5x plus 10. Now in standard form, I need my constant to be that c term on the right side. And I have this number 4 next to the y that I'm going to need to move over here to the right. And I'm going to do that by adding 4 to both sides. Now I have y equal to 5x plus 14. Notice how this formula is in what is called slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So now, just like in these other problems that we did before, my next step is to move my x term to the left side of the equal sign. And I'm going to do that by subtracting 5x to the left side. Here I'll have negative 5x plus y now equal to 14. And again, kind of like these two examples here, I needed to have my a term positive. So I'm going to multiply every term, all three of these, by negative 1 so that my a term will be positive. So now I'll have a 5x that's positive, a negative y, and a negative 14. And now my a is positive for that requirement for standard form. There are 3 more examples on the next page of your notebook, and I'll finish with these 3. For point slope form here, we're going to start by distributing our slope of negative 3. And when we distribute, we're going to have negative 3x plus 27. And now for standard form, let me write that form right here in the top of my paper for you. I need to have my constant on the right side, so I'm going to subtract the 11 so that it's on the correct side of my equal sign. Now I have y equals negative 3x plus 16. And if you notice, this is your slope-intercept form. But we don't want slope-intercept form, we want standard form. So I need to move my 3x to the left side, because in standard form you have ax plus by on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to add my 3x to the left side. And now I have 3x plus 1y is equal to 16. And this is our standard form. I have no fractions, and my a term is positive. In this example here, I have a fraction, and so what I'm going to need to do is eliminate my fractions, because in standard form, no fractions are allowed. So I'm going to start by multiplying every term in this equation here by that denominator of 2. So 2 times my y is 2y. 5 halves of times 2 is going to be 5 for my x term, and plus 9 times 2 are 18. Now that my fractions are cleared, I can start by moving around my terms to get my standard form. So I'm going to subtract my 5x to the left side of my equation. Now my x term is first. It is negative, but we can deal with that in my next step. So I have negative 5x plus 2y equals 18. Now to deal with that negative 5, let's multiply every term by negative 1 so that my a term is positive. So now I'll have positive 5x, negative 2y, and negative 18. And now I have no fractions, and my a term is positive. Now the last one, maybe you want to pause the video now, try this on your own, and check your work with the key in the video. And then you can hit play. For this one here, we're going to multiply every term by 2 to get rid of our denominator of 2. So we have 2y is now equal to 9x plus 1. And then I will subtract my 9x so that it's together on the left side of the equation with my y term. So negative 9x plus 2y is equal to 1. And just like this problem before, I cannot have an x term that's negative, so let's multiply all 3 of these terms by negative 1. And my a term will now be positive. Positive 9x minus 2y is equal to negative 1. Now we have no fractions, and our a term is positive.